Hello, good evening. I'm back with another video. It's about my book that has come up recently. It's called Footnotes of History, A Tale of the Mahabharata. And I'm lucky that it has hit the e-commerce stores soon because as I was told by the publisher that it won't be hitting the e-commerce stores before the end of this month, but it is available on Kindle, as a Kindle, on Amazon, Flipkart, Kobo, and also on other e-commerce platforms. I saw it was listed by Booktopia, which happens to be the national bookstore of Australia. So that's a feel good factor, obviously. Uh, in the last videos, I just was talking about my book, about the parts that the book consists of, and also what each parts do. Basically, it is in 5 parts. There are many. The book is basically a retelling of the Mahabharata legend from the vantage point of select minor characters and episodes. So there is a section devoted to Sahadeva and his cannibalistic desires in the childhood, as I have already pointed in my last video. There are also many other episodes that are dedicated to, say, Bhanumati, the chaste wife of Duryodhana, and how she felt when the war of Kurukshetra was going on. Today in the morning, I was looking into the original version of the Mahabharata that was authored by Sarala Das. Now, Sarala Das happens to be perhaps the first Odia poet of importance, and his Mahabharata basically departs from Vyasa's retelling in many ways. And in his Mahabharata, nobody is either a total villain or a total hero. There is a section in my book called Someone Bends a Bow Nearby, where I have shown that Ekalavya, when he meets Dronacharya, Dronacharya doesn't ask Ekalavya for his thumb, basically, as he's a Guru Dakshina, but rather wants him to revive all the Pandavas and the Kauravas who were killed in a rage by Ekalavya. Now, this is according to Sarala Das's edition, where Duryodhana once tried to kidnap Ekalavya's beautiful wife, and the Pandavas were also there. And Ekalavya, being an archer, killed all of them in a rage. So when Dronacharya came and saw that all the Pandavas and the Kauravas are dead, I would say Kauravas are dead better, then Dronacharya tells Ekalavya to revive them all because he was in charge of educating the princes of the Kuru clan. So this is according to the version of the Mahabharata as narrated by Sarala Das in 15th century AD. So there's a section, devoted to that, and also there are other sections which basically try to bring to forefront the marginalized characters in episodes. Draupadi's secret love for Karna, her suppressed desires. You have a chapter called Satyaki or Yuyudhana, who basically gave a tough time through Dronacharya when Arjun was far away from the battlefield. As I pointed out, in fact, severed the bow of Dronacharya 108 times in succession. So that is there in the poem of mine. You also have an episode or a small section devoted to the hidden tale of Sanjaya, who got the boon from Vyasa to tell the incidents of the Mahabharata war to blind Dhritarashtra. There are so many episodes like that, and if I can remember, there is one episode where I have basically depicted the tiller of Gandhara. It's called the tiller of Gandhara. Gandhara province was basically the province of Shakuni. Shakuni was the Gandhar Naresh, and he lived in Hastinapur to avenge the fall of his clan and also for his sister Gandhari. So what basically happens to the Gandhara province, what happens is that, as I have tried to imaginatively show, that when Shakuni leaves for Hastinapur to avenge the deterioration of his clan at the hands of Ishwar Pandu, his two sons, Uluk and Vrikasur, try to contain the disorder. which happened inevitably after a very intelligent man like Shakuni went for Hastina. So the tiller of Gandhara shows the plight of a common farmer, the scarcity, the corruption at the court, the deterioration of standards, morality, economic meltdown that happens in the Gandhar province when Shakuni is far away. So there's a chapter devoted to that. I hope you'll be finding it interesting when you read the book, because I'm happy to know that many of you have ordered the book, and there have been some favorable comments as well. Thank you all for patronizing the book, and you can order your copy now because it's available. Please be back with your comments on this YouTube video, or when I post on the Facebook, be there please with your comments as what you feel when you read the book. There is also a chapter dedicated to the condition that happens after the war. It's called A Pool of Dead Souls Part 1 and Part 2. So basically that shows the devastation caused by the war, the shrinking of the rivers, the global rise of temperature and stuff like that, very common in our era. So it basically shows the need for universal brotherhood, how we need to have faith in the life sustaining impulses. So that's there in the end of the poem. Well, I call it footnotes because there are many episodes and characters who really become an illegible footnote in the narration of the history, because as I told you that history is basically, as we all know, is a text which can be edited and re-edited. The victors write the history, the losers lose all, as it happens all the time. So somewhat like as one of my Facebook friends pointed out that, sir, have you really your retelling recalls of Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead, a play by Tom Stoppard, where Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are made two important characters and Hamlet and others basically become marginalized. Well, it was not my intention to marginalize anybody. I think when you are narrating such a poem on a large scale, such a big poem on a huge scale, certain characters inevitably become marginalized and some come to the forefront. So this video is just to tell you that the book is available on e-commerce stores now, and you can order your copy. I'm sure you will grab a copy of yours. And in the next series of videos, I'll be back with the reading of the poem. I'll try to read sections of the poem. It's a long poem, obviously, so it's not possible to read all the sections, but I'll be very fain to read the first portion called When the Slimy Frog Root, which happens to show the pristine condition before the Mahabharata war, before the war of the Dharma Yuddha at Kurukshetra. This is there. There is a short section devoted to Ashwatthama, his condition after the war, his act of using the Brahmashira Astra of Lord Brahma on the womb of Uttara that was nurturing young Parikshit. So you have a lot of incidents and videos here, and I'm sure you will be quite eager to grab a copy, and I'll be back with the next series of videos. So till then, stay tuned and bon reading. Goodbye.